Hello, welcome to my studio. This also happens to be my home, which is in the room that was originally the parlor. It's located in downtown Morehead City, which is also the location of the first Voorhees Family Art Show. I am Amy Voorhees, and I am married to the youngest Voorhees son, which is Chad. And tell you a little bit about myself. Chad and I met at art school in the 70s at Virginia Commonwealth University, which is also known as VCU. And I was in the sculpture department at the time. So I really didn't, although I had taken a few painting classes there, I really didn't start painting till our three children were grown, so it was much later. Although I've always been, I feel like I've been studying art all my life because as most artists, I had an early interest as a child, and I loved to draw, and my mother always encouraged that. She also was an artist. So although I can't remember ever really wanting to do anything other than be an artist. I think I wanted to be an architect once for a little while because my uncle was, but other than that, I always wanted to be an artist. I have studied at several universities, VCU through my junior year, as well as the University of North Carolina in Asheville. I took some wonderful classes there, also with famous artist, or statewide artist known as Tucker Cook, which was a good experience. I started my painting experience there with several watercolor classes, but that was over 30 years ago. So it is something that's sort of like a touchstone. I go back, I do some art, and then life takes over and things happen, parents, children, life, work. So yeah, it's one of my interests, main interests, but I have several. So after moving to Morehead, this is more of a rural area, I did end up taking some classes at the local community college, which is where I started painting more seriously. This is when my children were older. And I started in acrylics and really had no plan or direction. I just enjoyed the process and spent a lot of my energy thinking about dreams, memories, and that was a lot of fun to start that way. I do still think of those things, but that sort of was my jumping off point. To further my education, since I do live in a rural area, there aren't, without traveling distance, there aren't really very many classes to take. I pursued taking workshops where I did have to travel from many national artists, and I've studied with Camille Press-Roderick, Lee Boynton, Sarah Sedgwick, Peggy Noel Roberts, and I did have a year-long mentorship program that under Kevin McPherson, just to name a few. I've done quite a few more, but I'm mostly interested in graphic shapes, and maybe that's from my sculpture background, but I also like to find something that interests me in the still life, or that interests me in the actual settings that I'm looking at. Often it's lighting, but it can also be a story that I begin to form in my head. If I find myself talking to myself, then I know that I'm really into my painting and that I am connecting with it. And usually I don't want to sell those paintings, but I do end up selling those because I get very connected to them, and I feel like if I love them, then there's something to love about them in there. This process can also, for me, painting process can also be very frustrating because you want it to be thoughtful but also fresh and immediate. So this takes a lot of planning, which seems to contradict the spontaneity, but it's a process that I'm always trying to rework, revisit. I enjoy painting probably the most in my studio. I enjoy painting still lifes, actually. I like to study them, and I do like to look at things as I'm painting. I do like, to see my objects. Some people paint from their memories more. I like to look at what I'm painting. So I have painted plein air. I thought I was going to love it because it seemed like a natural fit, because I tend to be kind of messy. And I thought, oh, this is perfect. I don't have to worry about cleaning my studio. I can just go out there and, make a mess, and nature will take care of those things. And I find it to be a bit of a challenge. It's a little bit like camping, and I never was a very big camper. So although I like to stretch myself, and I do paint outside, the moving sun, the rugged ground, the flies, all that stuff, that's a whole nother set of challenges. So then I retreat back to my little comfortable studio, and sometimes I paint from photos. Sometimes I even will go into Photoshop and manipulate a photo and paint that. That's a really planned painting, and I like that too. I like either doing a very fast, loose painting, and sometimes my styles look very different, because it really depends on my mood and my focus on the way that I approach a painting. So if you have any questions for me, please put them in, I guess, our comment box, or whatever we've decided to do to communicate that way, and I'd be happy to answer those for you. And thank you for listening.